Oh.
Ooh.
I thought you said you were passing to me, but I'm glad because I hate doing introductions.
I was
You can
going to
take
say,
it.
I'll introduce and then I'll pass to you. And hello, this is Mikki Nobody here with Dole, Ruby, and the one and only Mr. Harry White, the boss man, the chief, the honcho, the I don't know. There's so many words for what you are, Harry. But you are the man in charge of it all by proxy, at least. And we're here to talk to you about all things Hammerdown happening over the next 6 months or so, potentially up to the year as well. Maybe we'll ask you a little bit about next winter's plans. But in the meantime, I'm going to pass you over to Dole, who's got some questions to kick off with.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, I think we should start with, could you give like an introduction to Hammerdown for those of like our guests who maybe haven't ever been to one of your festivals or have never heard of it? So how long have you been going, and what are some like highs that you would like to share with us?
All right, cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. By the way, most of the words used to describe me are far worse than the things that you use, so much appreciated. So Hammerdown's been going for 10 years. It started as a one-day rock and metal festival, and is blossomed now into a calendar of events all throughout the year. We put on loads of gigs every year, and we have a calendar of 4 different festivals. So it's going well. It's good. It's fun. It's hard work. What did you say? What some highlights to share? Was that the question?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, where to begin? There's been some mental lows, but of course, to have kept it going for a decade, been some really good highs as well. I think for me, my favourite Hammerdown festival was the one post-COVID. We'd all been locked away for quite a long time, and in Hammerdown's case, it'd been locked away for quite a lot longer. So we did Hammerdown for 4 years before COVID, and that was 15 to 18. It didn't happen in 2019, and that's because I'd just run out of money. It was all funded by my KFC pay packets when I was a teenager. I had no money. The festival was losing silly amounts. In 2016 we lost $3,000, which, as somebody who's like 20 years of age, that's a lot of money to lose when you're working at KFC. That's a lot. And when you're living by yourself as well, it wasn't like I was living at home with the parents. I had my own flat, so that was quite difficult. And I moved away down to Southampton in 2019 so I could get some sales and marketing experience. I got a sales job just so I could learn how to market properly, build my confidence, how to promote myself, how to negotiate, all of those different things. And that the 1 year that I'd planned to take out of it ended up being a few years, because then COVID obviously happened in 2020, right? So when we come back in 2022, that was a very, very special thing. It was the first time we'd done it over 2 days. Before, it had just been like an all-dayer. And in 2022, we did 2 days at a venue called The Venue, very imaginative, in Worthing. Right. A beautiful venue, a massive like church. It's stunning, beautiful villa, big like Greek style sort of pillars outside the building, really high ceilings inside with these balconies and that. The stage is flipping enormous. And it was just an amazing thing. And at that festival, across those 2 days, we had so many amazing bands. We had 20 bands play, 10 per day. And the amount of people that bought tickets, and this will tell you how bad the first 4 were when I didn't know what I was doing, that festival had more tickets sold than the first 4 years combined.
Wow.
All that, hopefully, so that experience, I guess, doing the sales for longer than I'd anticipated really, really helped Hammerdown in the long run, because when I came back, I had so much confidence in what I was doing and what we were building that it was just immediately so much better than it was before. And that year, the reason that it was so special, not only the turnout, although of course it's so rewarding to have that many people there after all those years of hard work on it, but also we got to put on some really, really special shows. There were 2 bands that played their final ever shows at that Hammerdown, bands that I've grown up with, bands I've got tattoos of, that because of COVID, both bands pre-COVID were sort of on the decline and were stopping doing so much, and then COVID took the right away from them to have their final ever tour or their final show or whatever, so they just sort of fizzled out on social media, and it was really crap for them, right? So these two particular bands, South Bank Crows and Mordecai, I said, please, I will do everything. We'll get you on this final one. Like we'll make it happen. And they were, thankfully, they were both really, really up for it, and they both performed very emotional sets, and it was and it was also the first time that we'd booked and worked with now some of my best friends in Esoterica, who I'm very grateful to now manage. But I booked them to headline that year, and they were amazing. And so yeah, it was a very, very special weekend, and it just felt like all of the hard work that we put in was starting to be realised. We didn't make money on it, we didn't sell it out, nothing like that. But it was just so much more than it had been pre-COVID. So I know that's quite a long story, but that's kind of, I'd say my biggest highlight was 2022. It was just an amazing thing. It really was.
I'll say seeing that amount of people is kind of rewarding itself, I imagine. Because like you said, to go from selling the amount of tickets from the previous shows like 4 times over, that's a massive increase and a massive change.
Yeah, it is. And it just comes down, and I say this all the time to people, that this is going to sound like a good thing, but it sort of isn't. Far too much of the music industry is run by fans. And what I mean by that is I was just an 18-year-old kid who loved rock and metal and just thought, well, I'll just fucking do a festival then. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, lost loads of money, didn't know how to market it properly, didn't have, like anything set up to actually make it a success, like nothing. And I see so much of that in the music industry, and I was like, right, okay, I want to do this properly. So I took myself away to learn skills, to try and build something that was the real community that's become, but that took time, it took effort, it took learning about sales and business, and by the way, the back end stuff that nobody thinks about, like taxes and accounts and all the stuff we've got to do with HMRC and all the, there's a lot of things, and so all of that time that I did in the sales helped to create 2022, and it was so rewarding that, okay, all of the things that I just put blind faith in and trust, all of these sales things that I've been taught, well, I've been told it's going to work, so and it actually does, and you're like, wow, okay, yeah, cool, I know what to do now, and it's just been about building it slowly ever since then.
Amazing. And then, since you mentioned your Hammerdown's not just a festival, it's also a management company. How many bands do you actually have in your roster? Because I've noticed recently you've picked up quite a few new ones. I think Premium Jester was one of your most recent.
Premium Jester, yeah, they're amazing.
I think I met them at Hammerdown, and then suddenly you picked them up. I was like, oh, okay. So how many roughly would you say is on your roster, if you know the amount?
Yes, we have 18 bands that we look after at the moment. There's 3 of us in the team, and it's really interesting, by the way, actually, because it just sort of settled on 18, and that's like where it's sort of been. And there's 3 of us in the team, and what's really interesting is about a month ago I did loads of networking and stuff with other managers who are way further along in their careers than I am. I said, how many bands do you think you should be managing? Like, how many do you look after? And they're like, 5 or 6 usually. And if you times it by 3, that's what I have. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. That we didn't know that a general rule is that you'd manage 5 or 6. It's just fit perfectly that is the right amount of bands to look after for us. So yeah, that was really interesting. Yeah, and Premier Jester are amazing. They're doing really, really well. I'm really pleased for them. They're popping off on the streaming and on YouTube, and Facebook and Instagram's growing loads. And they got their debut show on the 10th of January at the Black Heart in London, and it's going to sell out. It's going to be sick, and I can't wait. Yeah, it'll be really fun.
Fab. Ruby, do you have any questions before I sort of steamroll forward?
Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask, what's the most important lesson you've learned from managing? You've got Hammerdown record. Band management side and the festival. What's the biggest lesson you've learned from it all?
Wow. Well, I mean, you're learning every day. There's so many things you learn every day. I think I'll answer it in 2 parts, if you don't mind. I think from the festival's perspective, the biggest thing that I've learned is how much people crave live music and a sense of community. I think COVID in particular really killed a lot of people's social interaction. It certainly did for me. I had a horrible time in COVID, and I think it always baffles me and blows my mind, and I never really understand it until I sort of take myself out of the situation. But we have people that come up to us at events that say, Hammerdowns are the things that I look forward to in my year. These are the things that I book in, and this is the place I meet up with my friends that I met here 2 years ago who lives in Leeds, and I live in Plymouth, and so I never get to see them. And so now this is our meet, and it's just so cool. Like being able to facilitate that, like it's a lovely feeling. And so I think, and you've got to play to that strength. If community is the thing that everybody is, that's the reason why they come along to the events. Like, well, then we need to lean into that. We need to create as many community oriented things as we possibly can. And so we do things like we did a Hammerdown club night in the summer, and we just said, you just come down and hang out for a bit. And loads of people. And what was really interesting is that was kind of initially like let's create a load of hype around the festival this year, but it ended up just being a community meetup where all the people who come to Hammerdown stuff just come down and we hang out and we had loads of pints, and it was great, and we just try and do these things. And it's like we do these Hammerdown takeover shows at Bunker 11 in Worthing, which is a little basement venue, 80 cap. It's not got a fancy stage, nothing like that, but it's like a community little hub, and loads of people every show that we do at these last Friday of the month come down because they know there's a Hammerdown show on there. They've never heard of any of the 4 bands playing that night. And then they'll scuff 1 or 2 bands, and they'll buy a CD or they'll buy a pin badge or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, sick band. Shout out to Irish Pete. Irish Pete is a great man, and he comes to all of the gigs, and he's like 60, something like that. And he does some work with the Factory Live in Worthing, which is a great venue, and he just comes down without fail every last Friday of the month just to hang out, have a pint and watch some bands, and we just have a great time. And me and Pete have a long chat every single time, and it's great. So I think that's the main thing. And then with management, it's really interesting. When we set up the company, the whole goal was to, and naively, but innocently and well intended, the goal of the management company was to take away all of the things that a band doesn't want to do and take all of the weight off their shoulders so they can just focus on the art. That was the mission statement. That was like the plan, right? And it was every band, you come to us, you tell us what to do, and we'll do it. You want us to apply for that festival? Yeah, we'll do it. You want us to help you with your social media? Yeah, we'll do it. And it was just doing all this different stuff. But what I've learned over it, networking with other managers and speaking to other managers, how involved they are in the band's actual decisions and actually advising them, rather than just saying, I'll do whatever you tell me to do, which, as I say, well-intentioned but naive, actually to come in and go, no, guys, that's a terrible idea, you should do this. And advise and give, actual help, and, be involved in the process. Like, when we were new to management, the first few bands would never send us their demos. They'd say, right, our song's going out this time. But now the bands, they send us the demos. What do you think? What's your opinions? What should we do differently here? And now we feel more involved in the process. And hopefully, in my opinion, hopefully that helps the bands to grow and develop. And so I think our approach with management has completely changed from the first year we were doing things to the last sort of year and a half that we've been doing things. It's a very, very different, service products that we offer now. It's not just about being their bitch and just doing all of the stuff. It's actually about holding them accountable. Like, hey lads, we wrote you that social media plan. Why are you not posting this stuff? Like, let's go. Things like that. It's actually being on their backs about stuff because, hey, listen, creatives, man. There's creative.
On that note, then, before you move on, what's kind of, without, you don't have to necessarily name any names, but what's something that sticks in your mind that you've had to really say, oh yeah, lads, maybe don't post that. Or let's change the course of this plan that you guys have, and let's put it on this track instead.
I mean, it's so, God, it's a good question. It's a good question. There's so many things. I think social media is a really big one because so many and I'm not saying, oh, that was a bad idea, do it like this, but it's bands not doing things. So like, bands will put out a single and then they've not posted about it. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you need
to let people know, or they're not going to know the lesson.
Yeah, tell people it exists, man. Or like, I've written a social media plan of like, okay, you told me your release is on the 28th of November. Here's 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after of the things that we think you should post. And, do as you will. Like, don't post that one if you don't think that's very you, or change the wording, whatever, no problem. But if you just don't do any of it, I'm like, come on, bro. Like, what do you how do you expect to get anywhere unless you do that stuff?
Yeah.
We're really lucky. Most of our bands are so on it all the time. But yeah. I just think I think accountability, Mickey, is probably the most important thing. You know, like bands have hired us for a reason. It's to help them grow, and a lot of the time. And again, naively, we'd presumed that they know what to do, and we're there to just take some of the weight off their shoulders. Actually, a lot of bands don't know what to do, and so they're asking for our input rather than to just take some of the work away. Yeah, I think that's been the biggest change, biggest lesson learned with the management stuff. I think.
I mean, touching on the first thing you said about like community and all of that, that's one thing I've noticed. I mean, even seeing you at Bloodstock, but also about the Hammerdown warm up is, I think I was saying to Win, you always take time to talk to every single person you can, you know, I think that really helps with that sense of community at Hammerdown. So you know, I think that definitely pays off as well.
Thank you.
So like for the fans, all respect you a lot. I mean, I think one thing that really got me was when you were doing the run up to Hammerdown, doing the wheels and showing what you were doing, and it's just people don't do that. It's so interesting to see. You know, it's just always been so clear ever since I started like learning about Hammerdown that you're doing it for the community and the people, and not just, you know, for the money like some festivals do now. But I mean, that.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it, Ruby. And by the way, we've never made any money. So if I was doing it for money, I'd be a madman by then. I'd like give up, bro. But
money is important, but yeah.
Of course it is. Of course it is. And you know, I'm very, very lucky that my living now can come from managing bands, and that's great. But the festival never made me any money. It never has done. And I kind of realised it never will do. Like, I wouldn't have a management company unless bands were approaching me at my festival going, wow, you're clearly more connected than we are. Could you manage us? So the festival's an important thing. It's so like, I wouldn't be able to manage bands and have a living in music without it. So the festival will always happen. Super important. And at the end of the day, it's my passion. It's what I've always wanted to do. But the management company, I've been very lucky. It's been able to provide me with that living, and just going back to meeting people and having a chat. Yeah, like it's not, you know, it's not about me taking the time to speak to everybody. Like, it's my honor that people have been like,
it really shows though.
It's mad.
Like, you seem grateful for every person that's there. You're like so grateful. It's really nice to see from like a fan perspective how much you care. I think that's also put on how much we care about Hammerdown. Yeah. Because I've not even made it to a main Hammerdown festival yet, and I cannot wait. Just because I know what the vibes are like, and from what I've heard from the others. But
you know what? You'll see so many of the same people that you saw at the warm up and whatever. Like, you'll meet the same people.
Yeah.
And no, thank you. Like, it's an honor for me when somebody is like, oh, you're the Hammerdown guy. Like, that's the coolest thing in the world. So like, I'm honored to speak to them. Like, you know, whatever they feel is up to them. But I'm just grateful that they've, you know, wanted to have a conversation about it, or allowed me to introduce it if they didn't know about it. You know, like, it's a cool thing. So yeah, thank you.
I think one other thing I've noticed, being the patch gremlin of Chaos now, your patches on the jackets. I love the jacket every year. All the photos I see. I need to know what happens to the patches at the end of the festival.
Well, you mean the
what do you do with the patches? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to be honest. They've gone in the bin, man. I should really keep them.
No.
Oh no, that's really terrible. Do you know what? I actually, you're going to hate me, yeah? I've got a little patch box up here, right? And this is patches I've yet sewed onto the jacket, okay? So these are...
Well, if you ever need someone to do it.
Well, thank you. So these are patches I've yet sewed on, right? So there's... And the reason some of these ones are not yet sewed on is because I've already got patches from this band on the jacket, like a Saxon one and stuff. So these will go on my waistcoat, which is the next plan, right? It's But in the bottom of the box, there was 2 mini Hammerdown QR code ones, which like I had on the bottom of the things. I chucked them in the bin the other day. I'm really sorry. I should keep them. Maybe I could flog them at the market £1 million and my festival will break even.
In that case, completely just kind of unrelated to the interview. At the end of this Hammerdown, will you send me the patches so I can make like a frame out of the patches for a Hammerdown frame of the year? Just so you got all the patches in it for the year. Thank you, because I think that would be so cool. I'll send it back in a frame and all that ready, and you've got something to show what you've done for the year. I think
that's sick.
You should have a memory like that.
I will definitely. Yeah, 100%. I'll send that to you. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll do that for you this year,
thank
definitely.
you.
I'm
I can't
just
think. I really want to do something like that. That'd be fucking awesome. So yeah, don't throw them away this time.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
because he's in the
Yeah.
chat, I've just hit up Dave of Moomin Merch and just asked if it's possible to get one of the brand new Chaos patches sent over to you as well. Hopefully he's still in the chat. If not, I will give him a ring after we're done.
I've got
Dave,
some over here as well. Worst case.
Dave,
An
good
envelope.
news.
We love Dave.
I have because
Oh,
I've already got a Moomin patch on the jacket, and this other Moomin patch is going on the waistcoat when I start it up. So don't worry, Dave.
beautiful. I need a Moomin patch.
Yeah, you do.
There you go, Dave. Well, if
Oh,
you're still listening, Dave, he was in the chat earlier. He popped in. I'm assuming he's got this on in the background. So if you can hear us, get one sent over to Harry.
I'm just going to double check. We don't have music tonight, do we?
Nope, no
Because I'm
music.
more than happy to just keep steamrolling. Fabulous.
Yeah.
It's quite often that I forget that there's music in the well, we're meant to have music in the background, and then we just don't sometimes.
Think of time for your unhinged bullshit now.
No, not yet. So earlier on, you mentioned that you have four shows in like every year. Tell us about the new one in your second show in London. How did that come about?
Yes. Okay. Right. Yes. Very good. So we have about 2 years ago, I really got into the new wave of British heavy metal, and I'd already a long time ago seen Saxon and Iron Maiden, and I've seen Def Leppard as well from that movement.
Yeah.
And they were really great bands, and they always stuck out as some of the best bands I'd seen at Download. I mean, Saxon's set was amazing. Fear of the Dark is one of the best songs I've ever seen at Download.
Oh, yeah.
Iron Maiden. And so I really delved into the movement about a year and a half ago, and then at the Hammerdown warm-up show the previous year, before you come along, one of the guys, one of the community, a guy called Andy, he bought me an encyclopedia. In fact, it's right here on the new wave of British heavy metal. This chunky beast, yeah. I've got two books,
wow.
two different parts of it, right? And it's 800 pages long, and I've got so into it. And so I went on this sort of quest to try and, because I started listening to the bands, and like with any scene, there's some that are just god awful. But the majority of the bands that I listened to were so fantastic, and they had this energy and this passion and this like momentum that existed for this brief period. And some of those bands are still going now and still putting out fantastic records. Bands like Demon, Praying Mantis, Tigers of Pantang, all these other bands. It's so cool to see. And so I went on a bit of a mission to try and work with some of these bands, because look, in reality, they're not going to last forever. It's the same with any bands. They're not going to be together forever. And if I don't work with them now, then I'm not going to get the opportunity to. And that point was really reinforced in April. We hosted, in collaboration with the Factory Live in Worthing, Tigers of Pantang with a band called Titan, spelled Tytan, as the main support. One of the bands we manage, Hellfire Club, as the opener. And Titan and Tigers toured together in 1982, right at the height of the new wave of British heavy metal. And they played all these massive venues and whatever. So when we announced that show, the tickets went wild, because all these people were travelling from Scotland and all these other places being like, I saw this tour in 82. Oh my God, it was like the best tour ever. I've got to come and see this. So those people travelled from ages, with people from Bristol and Plymouth and Glasgow and all these other places that come down for that show. And the point reinforced, Kev Riddles, the founding member of Titan, and he was also in Angel Witch and other great bands as well. So he's done loads of stuff. And Kev Riddles, he was really, really unwell. And they cancelled a couple of shows about a month before our one. And they were so determined to play our one. Kev played the show, and he was very, very emotional. We had some tears on stage. And he had to play his bass and sing his backing vocals seated, because he was just really, really unwell. And then the next month they had to cancel 2 trips out to Europe, and then unfortunately he passed away very, very soon after that. And so the show that we did was the very, very last show that he ever played, and I'm utterly honoured that I was able to meet the dude, hang out with him before the show, and host that final show, and thankfully a very good one to the several hundred people. You know, it's a brilliant night. So for me, that really reinforced, like, man, that band are genuinely a sick band. And if I didn't get to work with them then it would never have happened. So we started booking loads of other new wave of British heavy metal bands. It's genuinely my favourite genre. Well, I say genre, it's kind of like an era, I suppose. It's quite varied. I mean, bands like Venom are new wave of British heavy metal, and they're more black metal, but from that era. And we did a new wave fest in May last year at the Cart and Horses in London, and the reason that the Cart and Horses is significant is because it's the birthplace of Iron Maiden. So it's like the legendary Maiden pub, right? And it's an amazing place, by the way. It's the coolest pub on the planet, and it went down really well. So we're doing it again for next year, and the people that go to those events, it is a proper cult. I mean, it's people who are so invested in that scene, in that era. They travel to all the events. They get the set list signed. They get photos with them. They buy all the merch. People travel from Holland and Germany and France to come and see these random bands who put out like one EP in 1981, and it's like heralded as this classic. And they just want to be a part of it. It's the coolest community I've ever been a part of, and so it's just been an honour to do that. So we're doing that again next year, and with next year, obviously Kev passed away, but we've booked Titan to headline that one because Titan had fully recorded and were going to release a brand new album, and so now they're doing a special set for us next year in London on June the 20th, where they're going to be playing some songs from that new album, which is Kev Riddle's last ever work. So it's going to be a really special set, I think. And there's other great new wave of British heavy metal bands there. And again, right, going back to the community thing, the whole point is that at the one we did in May and the one next year, it's not just 7 bands from 1981 that are all like 60 now. There's the first 2 or 3 bands of the day are up and coming talent inspired by the movement to play the same kind of stuff. So there's a local band called Desdemona. I regularly run the Northbrook College nights at the Factory in Worthing, which is loads of 16 and 17 year olds playing like 3 songs each. And one metal band there who a year ago I didn't think were that great, and every time they do these gigs at the Factory 4 or 5 times a year, last 2 or 3 times I thought the improvement's been amazing. So we booked them at a show in Worthing that we put on with a new wave of British heavy metal band, and then we've now offered them to open that one in London. And it's like we want to just encourage the next generation alongside in a place where those kind of fans who are so dedicated, who buy the merch, who support the bands, who want want them to sign things. I mean, I think it's just a good thing to do, so that's sorry, that was very long-winded, but hopefully that answers.
No. And also in the age of sort of social media, you're also reintroducing these bands to people that have never heard of them. So for example, I had never heard of Tigers of Pangtan before I came. I said that wrong. Before I came to a festival last year, and they blew me away, and I was like, I've never heard of these guys. But it's because they're just before my time. So it's really, really cool to see them.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It is. They co-headlined Reading Festival with Iron Maiden in like 1980. Like, how mental is that?
Wow.
Like, they flew out and headlined Wacken in 1999, I think it was. This band is
it's the year I was born.
There you go, cool. But like they're a sick band, and they've forever, and it's just I just love it. It's great. It's cool. It's nice.
So
I love it.
So do you have any more planned solo sort of gigs coming up? Because like last year you had the warm up to Hammerdown. Is that happening again, or?
Yeah. So we're going to do the warm up show. We're just pinning down the date for that, and then we're going to announce it in the new year. And same goes for the Winter Festival as well. So we sat down after the Winter Festival. We went through the numbers. And I did some networking with some other festivals earlier on this year and just asked them about break-even points and all this different stuff, because financially this thing is a fucking drain on my resources. Like it is, it's hard. And the Winter Festival, the first time we did it, we lost 1,200 quid. Second time we lost 1,100 quid, which isn't much of an improvement, let's be honest. But then this year we only lost 350 quid, and so like it's on the cusp of like it's going to be. So we sat down, went through the numbers, and went, okay, we can make this work next year where it's actually a viable event. And the people that I'd networked with had said it usually takes 4 to 5 years for a festival to break even. And I went, okay, cool. And interestingly, you've got to discount the pre-COVID stuff because it was such a long gap and nobody came anyway. Nobody remembered it. But from 2022, 23, 24, 25, well, 2026 is our 5th anniversary, right? So in theory, hopefully we'll break even on the main one too, and then life will be great and I can stop stressing. But let's see. So for me, the Winterfest, a real great one. I'm really excited about that. The warm-up show is such a core event in what we do now. We built that up over the last 5 years. Yeah, it's great, wasn't it? Wasn't it a good day? It was such a cool evening.
Oh, it was absolutely great. I just, it's definitely one of the highlights of the year for me.
Oh, yes. And that was only the warm-up, mate. You wait.
Oh, I cannot wait. I'm so excited already. We have to make like, Bloodstock Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm gutted. I'm excited for Hammerdown more than I would be for Bloodstock. I feel bad. I almost feel bad, but
yes, mate. Yeah.
Can't wait.
Good.
So you mentioned obviously the numbers were a lot better on kind of the paperwork at the end of the day for Winter Militia this year. But how did the event go overall for you this year? Because obviously we weren't able to make it this year. I think the day we realised was the Monday after it had all gone on. And we were like, did anyone go to that? No. Oh, crap. So, how was it? Because we weren't there to give it a review or anything at this time,
unfortunately. No problem. Yeah, it's fine. No problem. It was amazing. It was so good. It was the best attended that we'd had. We did the most in merch that we'd done at one of the winter ones, which helps us, financially to keep this thing going. But more to the question, the more important stuff, the bands were excellent. I mean, the standard was so good. The Winter Militia has always been quite a solid event in terms of talent, but this year was just awesome. And I mean, Tropic Gold, they are on fire right now. That band are going places and they're doing bits, they're going somewhere. And it was an honour to have them there before they bloody explode, because they're going to be massive. They are going to be a big band, and we're very, very lucky to have had them. And yeah, like one of the bands that we manage called Tooth and Dagger. They're based in the Midlands, and we signed them a couple of months ago. And I'd not yet, just through A, geography, and B, just timings and logistical stuff, I just hadn't been able to see them yet. And they were so good, and I'm so glad that they were good. It was like not a shit band. I told them that as well. The whole joke all evening was #not a shit band. But they were outrageously good, and I was really proud of them. So yeah, good gig.
Oh. I always feel like a weird fatherly feeling of pride when you get to see your band play.
Oh yeah. And more so, by the way, when we see bands that we managed for a while and the improvement and the journey with them. Like that's cool. Like when they play the new track, that is so much better than stuff they wrote 3 years ago or whatever. That's cool, like it, and the level of confidence and crowd control, being able to just whip up a frenzy in a crowd when 2 years ago, it, maybe a bit more awkward or not as confident or just not as with their feet not as firmly planted. In knowing what they're doing. So yeah, and there was a few of them there, by the way. So yeah, it was good. It's really good.
So I'm gonna say, because they're the band I've seen the most now, Cypher. From when I saw them at the warm-up, even then to Hammerdown, and then I saw them at Reading Rising, they are absolutely incredible. Also, I don't know names, but the guitarist, I've never seen a man who loves his job more in my life. Like, his facial expressions were just brilliant. Like, everyone was amazing, but you could tell he was enjoying himself.
I'm going to voice note him after this. He's one of my best mates. I used to be in a band for him years ago. So when we started the management company, and us and Cypher, it was always meant to be. And do you know what? I'm so proud of them. And you're not the first person to say things like that. At Hammerdown, we've got a production manager called Pete. And Pete has been managing festival stages for like 30 years. He's so experienced. I had all the tech specs and all the paperwork to him, and he just does it. Like the smooth running of the event and the fact that there's no delays or anything like that at the festivals that we put on, that's Pete. Yeah, it's not me. He's amazing. And we put Cypher on when they had one song out in 2023, okay? And they were great, perfectly fine band. But we had them on at the main festival this year, and Pete hasn't seen them in between because Pete doesn't do the warm-up shows or anything like that. And Pete, after we do like a big breakdown call, we chat about how it went and all this other stuff. And I was asking him who his favourite bands were from the year, and he said Cypher. What an unbelievable improvement! I mean, they were basically kids 2 years ago, and it was one of the best sets of the weekend. And I told Cypher obviously, and they were really pleased with that because the change for them in a short space of time has been mental. They're doing really, really well.
And they're also opening for Glamour of the Kill, I noticed recently.
Yes,
I love Glamour of the Kill. So when I saw that, I was like, holy shitballs.
I didn't know they were
awesome.
still okay.
They are.
Yes, they are back, and it's Camden Underworld. It's going to be 6 in February, so I will obviously be there for that because it's going to be just a sick night. Yeah, we're really, really happy about that one. That's a really good support slot for them. It's the right scene, you know. That's a good fit, I think. So I'm really, really pleased with them.
I mean, one thing I say, like with the warm up, Cypher I was so impressed by like how young they looked, and I think I stuck around waited for about 20 minutes to make sure I could get one of their t-shirts immediately. I was like, I'm not going home without a Cypher t-shirt. Yeah. I folded it up the other day, so I wear it a lot.
Very good.
I'm just like, they were just so good. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I don't know, not that I couldn't believe it. It's just they looked. The vocalist looked so young, and I thought, "There's no way that was her." Like absolutely incredible. I really hope to see him again. Like, I mean, all of the bands that played there.
I'm sure you will.
So good.
And also I can't remember if it's for the London show or if it's for Hammerdown, but didn't you have an online competition?
Yeah.
Are you announcing the results? Was it the Wednesday just gone, or is it this Wednesday coming?
Okay, so no, that's when the entries close. Is this coming Wednesday? We don't.
I see.
Yeah.
So what we do? We have an annual online competition. We didn't want it to be based. And by the way, there's nothing against other festivals that do this, but we just didn't want to do it this way. We didn't want to do it based on votes. We didn't want to do Battle of the Bands. We did that in 2017. Long time ago. We wanted to do it where it was the most talent driven it could possibly be, and make it as honest and as fair. And again, this is not digging at other festivals for doing things the way they do. None of them are bad at all. Like, I think Metal to the Masses is a great thing. Stone Dead's opening poll is a great thing because the opportunity for those bands is enormous. We don't provide such an opportunity, so to do something like that would probably be dishonest. Our festival is smaller. So for me, we just want to make it the most talent-driven competition it can possibly be. So bands send us a live video, like a submission, and we have a whole spreadsheet with all of the bands, and me, George, Shanice, and Ryan in our team this year, we will sit down and we'll listen to all of them. And from that, we'll all create our yes, no, and maybe columns. And at the end, we have a fight to the death. So some of us may not
physical fight to the death between the four of you.
Well, luckily, because of geography, George lives in Scotland, Shanice lives in Bournemouth. And I live in Worthing, so the only person who's likely to die would be me or Ryan, because we both live in Worthing. But George and Shanice will be safe, and so Hammerdown will therefore be safe, whatever the outcome is. But yeah, we'll whittle down the bands. We've got like 160, 170 entries, I think.
Wow.
And we'll whittle them down to 10 that were like, these bands are fucking sick. During that fight, that's where we all stand up for our favourite bands and say, no, this band has to make it. I hate you. And then from those top 10, we'll invite a judging panel to get together, and we record the whole day. So we've had like Luke from Esoterica. We've had Dave from Moomin Merchandise, who was in the chat earlier. We've had...
last year, wasn't it recorded by Adam from In Search of Sun, or edited?
No, he was in it. He was one of the judges.
Okay.
Yeah,
I remember him having something to do with it.
Other side of the camera. So they all get involved, and we'll have another panel. Stephen from the Factory Live is usually there, and we will then score bands on a couple of criteria out of 10. We won't show each other our scorecards. At the end, we add them all up, and then 2 bands get the chance to play a festival. It's all free. Nobody has to pay anything. Nobody has to do any votes. There's no lugging all your gear down to Battle of the Bands that you might not win. It's entirely effort free for the bands. And then at the end of it, we give the winning bands a paid slot at the festival. So yeah, it's always been a fun thing to do, and we've built such great relationships with some of the bands that won it over the years. I mean, Those Made Broken stick out to me. Idle Discourse. Bands that have just blown us away, and it's one of my favourite bits of the year. It just because you listen to so many bands, and look, like, just utter brutality. Not all of it is fantastic, but you find some utter gems in there. You're like, this is the sickest band in the world. How the hell have I never come across them before?
Yeah.
You like, I found, the two bands I just mentioned, Those May Broken and Idle Discourse, are bands that I listen to all the time, and it's just some of my favourite fucking bands. And they're bands from Ireland and Scotland that, because they are local scene bands, I would never have come across them had they not applied for this competition. So it's fucking sick.
That's why we love like small competitions. Not I say small, metal to the masses. And I heard coverage of it last year. I discovered a lot of bands I love, and I think that's where we and you like. I love the similarities of like loving bigging up the smaller bands, getting them out there, getting them heard, getting them seen and stuff. I just, not to talk on our own show name that backwards, but
Yeah. Well, hey, well, listen, metal to the masses has become such a staple in the metal scene. It's such an important route to success for bands. And look, the reason we don't do it that way is because there just isn't the reward there. Our festival is not as big as Bloodstock.
Let's do it though.
Hey?
I mean, I finding out the other day that Oxford has 15 separate events for just Oxford. I just thought, how do they do it? But
it's mental. I know. It's
mental. I've only got a couple of 7, but
it's nuts.
It's because we have four. We have four. I saw this the other day. We have 7 heats, 4 quarters, 2 semis, and a grand final.
Mental.
Or something stupid like that.
Bristol just 4 heats, 2 semis, and a final, so that's a lot nicer. But I love when, because obviously you guys have got your own way of doing it, having that, having the ability for bands to give you their music and say like, hey, maybe we can play, and like you said, even if they don't get a spot, you end up finding so many different bands.
Yeah.
Because they're local, but they're local somewhere else. And I mean, I've gone to a few smaller gigs in Bristol recently that one of them was I went to see Rex. In fact, that was Swindon. I went to see Rex. Yeah. I know, I absolutely love them. I know, because we had them on the show. I know, when did you say you saw them at Hammerdown?
At Reading Rising, I did. Reading
Rising. They've also done, and I've seen their name everywhere, and then we had them on the show. I went to see them in Bristol. They were, the second band on, I think. And I just had the best time seeing them. And then the other bands that played as well, just fell in love. And, finding a smaller local band you like, and then going to see them live and finding more and that. And it's a great way to do it, but it's hard. So, having these competitions, especially like if you're posting any online and stuff like that, and all the coverage is great. And, everyone's getting more, thanks to the evil social media, finding more local bands that are local to completely different places.
Yeah, and I just want to. There's 2 things I want to say on this. One is that the reason Metal to the Masses works so well is because the reward is so high. It is worth doing their heat in the semi-final if you don't get to the final, because the exposure you've got out of it is so great. Just being tied to that Bloodstock band, even for just a couple of local shows, is a really important thing for bands. And the reason that we don't do it like that is because we did a festival in 2017 where we did a Battle of the Bands for it, and the reward is not worth the effort of doing the Battle of the Bands because our festival is really small. So when we did it in 2017, we had bands come from like Birmingham and shit, and they're playing Burgess Hill Football Club, on like the floor, and the prize is obviously to play the festival. But we did it because loads of bands were asking us, and then the Birmingham band wins, and it's like, yay, we won the heat. Like, boys, you've got to come back in 3 weeks to do the semi-final.
Yeah.
So it's,
I mean, I should grow. It could be an option, but the way you're doing it now sounds fucking brilliant. I like the idea of you guys as judges, instead of fighting it out, play Monopoly, because it might get more violent.
Yeah, it could get more violent. It just doesn't work for us because we're not at that level. So So the way
an hour, isn't it?
of course it is, and the way that we do things, we just want to make it. We want to make it a positive experience for any of the bands that enter. And so what's really crucial is what we say to the videographer who records it. When we're doing the top 10 on that day who've got there, we are picking faults of really great bands because we have to pick fault in order to choose winners from that top 10. So what we say to the videographer, record it or whatever, because we've got to have the conversation. But the honest conversations of I don't like the transition from the verse to the chorus, none of that makes the edit. The video that gets published, although the judges have to pick apart, nitpick, but only the stuff that's positive actually gets published. If you watch the last it only bigs up the top 10 bands. They've been good enough to get to the top 10. They're sick bands, and they're all great in their own right. And we're only nitpicking because we can only give 2 the slot, so we have to find fault.
If you don't nitpick, you're trying to figure out how to put all 10 of those bands on. Like I said, I mean, I'm only comparing to Bloodstock because that's the only other competition I know of. But I mean, like I said, I think I listened. I checked out all of the heats for Oxford, and I was like, how are they going to pick one? And I'm thinking the same with Bristol now. There's like 5 bands on there that I know, and I'm already thinking, how are you not going to have to do all 5? They've got 4 heats. They've got 20 bands, I think. And I just think, how do you manage it? You have to nitpick, but if you don't,
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to rack my brain. Am I right in thinking Land Captains won last year?
Correct. Yes. Two. So they were there was 2 winners, and the band that played on the main stage, it was Land Captains, and then the band that came in second, which was Monochrome, played on the second stage, and then the band that come third, which was Those Made Broken, got a slot of the warm up show.
Actually, because Monochrome won their Metal to the Masses, and they played Bloodstock this year.
I saw them there, and they were fucking sick.
I think
they're amazing.
Brilliant band.
They're on. I think they're playing one of the Bristol Metal to the Masses, either the semis or the finals.
They're playing the grand. They're playing the grand final because they won last year.
I've seen them. I've got them on my little list. So I'll be seeing them soon as well. That'd be cool.
They're great.
So that's what I love. This little band that in a competition, and now they're headlining that, and they're played up. Hammerdown. I love all of this. Discovering new bands like that.
Yeah,
just the way to do it.
Sure.
Okay, I actually do have a would you rather, and it's actually quite a professional one. Shut up, mate.
Really, Doll, are you okay?
I'm doing my best. Harry, are you ready for a would you rather? It's festival related as well.
Yeah, go on. Let's go.
Would you rather the main headliner just not show up, no call, no show, or the power go out across both days for 2 hours at 5 p.m?
Hey, listen. Hammerdown needs a book because I've had both of those things happen.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I've had both of those things happen. What would I have rather preferred? I didn't have the power go out for 2 hours, but water was coming through the ceiling, coming through the lights, and we did have to turn everything off for a good period of time.
Oh my!
Where the hell the water was coming from? And I can tell you, I was not sat on the curb, 300 feet from the venue, head in hands like I was when the headliner didn't come. I mean, that was hard.
I would be crying, literally.
Was there a legitimate reason as to why they didn't show up? Or
was
okay.
And they were a late fill-in headliner. This was back in 2016. This was the first festival that was called Hammerdown. And there was a whole thing. We had a band booked, and this was a lesson as a teenager, right? We had a band booked to headline the festival, and I just thought, we've confirmed it. That's great. And then they pulled out. Their agent pulled them out months before, saying basically we've got a better offer for a festival in Spain. See you later. And because I didn't have proper contracts, right? So it's a lesson for me. And so we got another band in last minute, and then on the day, I'm not going to go into the personal reasons, but I got a call in the morning like, this situation's happened. We're going to have to keep you updated throughout the day. We don't know what's going to go on. And then at like 2:30 in the afternoon, we got the final call like, we're really sorry, we're not going to be able to make it. So we and I guarantee you this has never happened at a festival before. I reckon this has got to be a first. The bands that opened the show, who were called Turbo Lovers, who were like the most outrageous, purposefully cringy, cheesy, lycra, silly songs.
Oh my god.
Nutters, just like ludicrous stuff. Yeah. They opened like sunglasses on stage. They opened the show, got really pissed, and then when they heard the news, they were like, "Why don't we headline the festival?" And I put it off about 4 hours, and then they kept badgering me about it. And by about 7 or 8 o'clock, I said, "Yeah, fine, you can play after the next one." you can technically headline the festival. So they opened and headlined the same festival on the same day, and they were gattered in the second set. They were all over the gap.
Perfect.
Oh, brilliant.
I bet that was the
so
show
great.
of a lifetime. Not only do you have this like visually entertaining band, they're all absolutely sloshed as well.
They were all over the show. They
Oh,
smashed one of my Hammerdown hammers. They destroyed one.
oh my god,
Oh,
I don't know if
no.
you've seen those before. We got
I haven't.
Oh my god, there's only one left. I have to send you a picture of it.
Yeah.
For that festival in 2016, I got a props designer to make me 5.
Oh no, that's you have.
This is where Win gets the joke from. Yeah, we got they were massive, this big, and it was like a what's called like a spindle from a banister. Yeah, like a sort of a middle bit.
Oh yeah.
Bit and like a little bulby bit at either end.
Yeah.
That was like those were like the handles of them. Yeah, and then there were these big warheads on them, big sort of square.
Oh.
And I have 5 of them made up, and then there was like one on the merch table, one at the entrance, one on either side of the stage, or whatever. One is in the interview room, and on stage they were so drunk they got hammers smashed on the stage.
Oh.
No, it was great. It was great. But
I guess it must have been a memorable one at least.
Yeah, and it's happened a few times, which is why there's only one hammer left. But anyway,
Oh god.
to go back to the question, I would prefer for. I mean, I'd rather the headliner turned up, because I was very depressed on that curve as a 19, 20-year-old, like with no headline at my own fucking festival. That was
I can't imagine the stress.
I could not even imagine trying to deal with that at that age, and the fact that you did and you're still doing it now is just insane. I mean, if something went wrong for me at that age, I would have just given up on the dream immediately. Even now, it's like now I'm done.
Yeah, it was a tough thing. It was a tough thing, but we survived.
Wow.
And then my sort of last few questions are: now that Hammerdown is going ahead this year, what can we expect? Because I know you've still got a few more bands to announce. So
yeah, we do, including Saturday headliner. By the way, we're holding some cards close. So all will be revealed around January payday. Do not worry. There's going to be a big announcement then. I think what you can expect is that community vibe to the next level, because the factory has been the home of many Hammerdown events. Ruby, you've been there. It's been a really, really special place for us. The community there is great. The staff that run it are fantastic. Jo, the woman who runs the burger stand, is fantastic. They've built this new bar. She's cool, right? And
I didn't eat anything, but it smelled so amazing.
Yeah.
One thing I want to shout for anyone listening who does need to know, when I went to the warm up earlier this year, I went in my wheelchair and it is so beautifully accessible. I mean, I don't think there were accessible toilets specifically, but the toilets are easy to get into. There's a ramp on the way up. It's just so accessible. And the staff are so helpful with it.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you agree. There are actually accessible toilets. But no, that's
okay.
Very
I
well.
don't see them.
That's good. That's good to know.
Wow.
I appreciate the feedback. It's good. Yeah. So I think that's the most important thing. That community, like their sense of belonging, and I think more than ever, the lineup is every year. I think it gets curated better because our team has more experience, and I think this is a really, really impressive lineup. I'm really happy with it, and wait to see who else is on it. But I think it's going to be a real celebration of what we've been doing for the last 10 years, and it's the 10th anniversary. So expect me to remove lots of items of clothing, drink lots of beer, probably be carried.
We'll buy you a few.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's going to be bloody carnage. So yes.
And congratulations on. Am I right in still thinking it's already 35% tickets have been sold?
Yeah, closer to 40.
Well, I was 35 the last time I checked. So
yeah. It's do you know what? I didn't think we'd sell many tickets around the November payday because it's Christmas now, but we did. So we're past 35%, closer to 40 now. And so I have a suspicion this will be the first Hammerdown sellout, and the reason being we've been at bigger venues the last couple of years, and we've sold more tickets than the capacity for this venue. So even if we do a little bit worse, it's going to sell out. So I'm very confident in that, which is really exciting. So we're going to sell it out. It's going to be sick, and then we're going to grow it from there.
I'm sure. Mikki,
and then, can you give us any clues? Oh, sorry.
That's right. That's right. I just say,
can you give us any? Oh, Ruby, pick your poison.
Who's going? What's the score? What's happening?
Don't go.
Can you give us any hints on who the Saturday headliner might be? I.e., how many members are in the band? Well, come on, like give us a game to like go away with. How many members are in the band? What genre are they? Have they played Hammerdown before?
Why isn't it the Venga Boys?
Oh, they've not played before. Okay.
That's all I'm giving you. They've not played Hammerdown before. I will not give it.
Why is it not the Venga Boys?
Well, I didn't say it was. The Venga Boys haven't played Hammerdown before.
Don't play with my heart, Harry.
Listen, the Venga Boys have not played Hammerdown before, and therefore, with the clue that I've given, they are.
It could be.
Don't play with my heart.
Oh, shut up! You've got to go suck at a blood shot this year. You've got your Foggy Boys to deal with. I'm going Hammerdown.
Yes.
There will be no divorce over this, I swear. I hope. Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
So
Well,
we're not allowed any.
one of the questions I wanted to ask as well, Harry, is obviously without going into too much of the details, you had to cancel the outdoor festival for 2026. However, around the time of all of that happening, you mentioned there may be a possibility of an outdoor event happening in the future. Possibly this year, possibly next year, whether it be the full festival or some kind of warm up. Have you had much of any progression on that at all since that last big update?
Yes, we have. We've been working with a wonderful, wonderful site in West Sussex, different to the ones that we'd spoken about, who have basically they've got private land. They do other events there, and within reason and with approval from the right bodies, we can sort of do what we like. And it's so much better than the nonsense I've had to go through to try and put an open air event together. It is crazy. I mean, I've got a mentor who runs a festival in Germany. Been doing it for 20 years, and I went and saw him in his office. And I said, look, here's all the emails from the council. Here's the plans we've sent them. Like, what do I do? And he read through these emails and he said, Harry, look, before anything else, I'm telling you, mate, this does not happen anywhere else in Europe. Your country is fucking awful for events and red tape from councils and stuff. It's just the worst country in Europe for it. And I was like, sick, thanks. So yeah, we have made progress, and we're going to be revealing some updates in the new year. Whether or not it's 2026 or 2027, we're just doing the maths, because with the amount of time that's progressed, do we have the time to sell both the festival that we've already got and one day open air one for 2026? I don't know. So we're making a decision about refunds, about whether or not we're going to do it. We're weighing up those different options, and we'll come back with that in the new year.
Awesome stuff. Well, I think that's, unless any of the ladies on the chat have any more questions, I think that's everything.
No. I mean, just anything else you want to add before we go? Anything you want to shout out or anything?
I'm just grateful you guys have had me on. Thank you very, very much. I genuinely really appreciate it. Thank you. It's been really, really fun.
We're happy to have you as well.
You said shout out. Well, I will definitely shout out the Factory Live for rescuing us and helping us put on the festival. And if you are in the Sussex area, come down to the shows at Bunker 11. It is a new music venue in Worthing, in the Charles Dickens pub. It's a great little space. There's great talent on regularly now, not just from Hammerdown, but from Top Presents and several other promoters. It's a really, really great place. And if you're local, gigs are cheap, pints are cheap. Come along, and we'll hang out on one of them.
Ooh.
Fantastic stuff. Well, for anyone at home, you can head over to hammerdownfestival.co.uk. I believe there's tickets for all of the upcoming events going on at the moment that Hammerdown have ready to go. If not, I'm sure they will be very soon. Grab yourself a ticket for Hammerdown Festival 2026. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. We can't wait to be there. Unfortunately, I have to sit this one out this year, but Spooky Nerd and I will be there this year. And hopefully I can make it down to some of the other ones. I might come down to Carton Horses.
Good man, yes.
Yeah,
thank you very much, guys.
No worries. Thank you very much, Harry.
Yeah, thanks for being on.